Back at Big Ten Media Days, one of the most interesting interview subjects at this event every single year is Penn State head coach James Franklin. He has thoughts on lots of stuff, and he is not shy about sharing them. And if he gets a question that he doesn't like, he'll give you an honest answer. Always really one of my favorite people to talk to every year. He had a bunch of stuff to talk about that was either directly related to Ohio State or sort of indirectly related to Ohio State. So I'm going to share all of that here with you right now. One of the big things for the Penn State program is they've been consistently very good, but just not quite been able to get across the line against some of their top opponents. Frequently, that has included Ohio State. So this year, they're bringing back a ton of veteran talent. So what does it take to finally get across the line against teams like Ohio State and others?
No, we got to play well against really, really good teams. That's what it comes down to. And there's going to be moments where we're going to have to step up and make great plays. There's moments we're going to have to make great calls. We're going to have to, handle at one of those. We're going to have to handle being on the road and dealing with the attendance in the crowd, and that will be a factor in it as well. We've been one of the most consistent programs in college football over the last 9 years, and specifically over the last 3 years. There's another step to take for us, and we recognize that and embrace it. And the good thing and the exciting thing is we're going to have opportunities to do that this year.
Franklin's Penn State has been one of the most consistent programs in the country. They have beaten pretty much all of the lower level programs that they have played, but man, they just can't seem to get over the hump against top 5 teams. They're 1-15 against AP top 5 teams at Penn State. That includes losses to Oregon and Notre Dame and Ohio State last year. The only win that he has gotten at Penn State against an AP top 5 team, that was 2016 in that blocked field goal game against Ohio State in Beaver Stadium. So, all right, how do you change the narrative around this team?
Yeah, again, kind of like what I just answered, is you get excited about the opportunity. Can't control the past. Excited about the future. I also respect and appreciate that we're one of those programs that they're having that conversation about. But yeah, we're excited about what we're going to be able to do this year and the steps that we're going to be able to take. We've had a program that 99% of the programs in the country would die to have and love to have. But there's obviously room for growth.
He was also asked about the hype around this year's Penn State team, some of the expectations that they're dealing with now. And he also, in the middle of this, sort of starts talking about some other head coaches without naming any names, so you can draw your own conclusions on who he's maybe subtweeting there.
Yeah, again, it doesn't feel a whole lot different for me. It doesn't feel a whole lot different for us. I think there's obviously more conversation going on nationally. But the expectations in our Lash football building are always really high. The expectations on our campus, in our community, with our lettermen, with our fans, with our alumni are really high. I think last year's a perfect example of that. We finished essentially a drive away from the national championship game, and people were pissed. Didn't necessarily feel like, the type of season that we had. And that comes with being the head football coach at Penn State or being a quarterback at Penn State. You knew that when you took the job. I also recognize that there's been a ton of work that's gone into that, and the program was nowhere near that when we took it over. And to me, there's got to be balance with both of those conversations. There's a lot of coaches that I know that get talked about, and when they took over the job, they were ranked number 2 in the country when they took the job. They were ranked number 5 in the country when they took the job. They were ranked number 10 in the country when they took the job. We weren't ranked in the top 25, and as you guys know, there was a lot of things that we had to overcome. So to think that we're back in this position and there's these types of conversations going on, and we've been one of the most consistent programs in the country over the last 9 years, I'm extremely proud and I'm extremely confident. But again, There is complete recognition and embracing what we got to do and where we got to go. And the best part about it, your question and your question and your question, is we're in total control of it, right? If we want the narrative to change, we got an opportunity to change it. We want people to shut up. We can shut them up real easy. So we embrace it all. And again, but there's also balance with me and perspective, because people don't always talk with perspective.
There are a lot of familiar faces back on the roster of this Penn State team, but there is a new face in the defensive coordinator's office. That is Jim Knowles, former Ohio State defensive coordinator. What was it that made Jim Knowles an attractive option for James Franklin as his new defensive coordinator?
Yeah, obviously when you have a chance to get a guy who's been a head coach, who's been a high-level defensive coordinator at multiple places, who you could make the argument has had the best defense in college football over the last 2 years, has just been a part of a national championship, is from Pennsylvania, is from Philadelphia. Obviously, it's a big get, and he's been awesome. He don't say a whole lot, and when he does speak, he speaks quietly. You got to kind of lean in, kind of like the old E.F. Hutton type of deal. He is a little bit of a mad scientist. But I'm excited. I think Penn State was attractive to him. I'm very proud of the fact we've had 4 defensive coordinators, and every single one of them have had a top 10 defense. That's a credit to them, but I think that's also a credit to our program and how we do things. There's a ton of offensive head coaches that they stink on defense and always have, right? So I think that was attractive to Jim. Jim came and visited us, I think, when he was at Duke and been out at practice and saw how we do things. So I think all those things happened. One of the things that not a lot of people are talking about last year is we played the longest season in Penn State history last year, 16 games, won 2 playoff games, and we had 3 new coordinators last year. New offense coordinator, new defense coordinator, new special teams coordinator. That's hard to do. Offense coordinator's back, special teams coordinators are back, and we were able to go out and get arguably the best defense coordinator in college football. I think it's the best combination of personnel that we've had since I've been there in terms of staff and players. So it was a big get. It was a big get. But we're excited about having him.
One of the really interesting aspects of adding Jim Knowles is you not only have this brilliant mind that you're adding and a guy with a great track record, you also have a guy who went up against you the last few years, went up against your players, went up against your offense, and who can tell you, here's exactly what we did, here's exactly why we did it, here's exactly what we saw on film. That feedback sounds like it's been really valuable for James Franklin.
I think it helps all of us, right? Like we do self-scouts all the time, have the defense analyze the offense analyze the defense, special teams, but you're buddies. So you're honest, but sometimes you kind of sugarcoat some things. Well, we were able to get his Ohio State game plan and evaluation of us and our personnel that he did before he was in our office and hand it to us. And that was really valuable to be able to go back and watch the game with him and our offensive staff and Drew and all those things. Really valuable, really valuable. But it's like anything else, right? You want feedback. You want to ask, tough questions. Then you better be willing to listen and hear and embrace the information that you're getting and understand the value of it. And, we're a program that does that. We're a program that has honest, tough conversations with each other all the time. So, but there's also, again, back to Jim and these conversations, there's also a reason why Jim came. He was attracted to Penn State. So, we're excited about it, and it's been fun so far, but we still got a lot of work to do.
And finally, one of the reasons that this Penn State team is getting a lot of hype this year and has been picked to win the Big Ten is because it feels like they're following a successful model. In 2023, Michigan brought back a ton of veteran players for one more year. They passed up the NFL draft to come back and try and finish the deal, and they did. Last year, Ohio State followed that same model, had a bunch of guys pass up the NFL draft, come back to try and reach their team goals. This year, that's kind of the Penn State thing. Drew Aller came back. Nick Singleton came back, Katrin Allen came back, but they brought back offensive linemen, defensive linemen, guys in the secondary. It is a loaded and veteran team. So is that something where they think they maybe can follow that winning model that Michigan and Ohio State have pulled off the last 2 years?
Yeah, I kind of talk about it a little bit like college basketball. You think about like when the one and dones were kind of happening and going on and first started, and there was a ton of teams having a bunch of success by just being old basketball teams that were making late runs into the tournament. I think there's a lot of that in college football now, and I think a lot of people can be upset or have questions or concerns about NIL and those types of things, but I know for the retention of players, I think it's an extremely positive thing. There was guys that were leaving college to go to the NFL, and they shouldn't have. But based on their situation, their family situation, or whatever it was, they hadn't gotten their degrees yet. They were going to be 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round draft choices, and they came out early because they just could not turn that opportunity to make that type of money down for their family. So when it can become a win-win situation where they can come back and finish their degrees or get a master's degree like Dawkins, have a chance to win at the very, very highest level, and got a chance to increase their draft stock, it's hard to argue. It's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the kid. It's a win for the institution. It's a win for the Big Ten. It's a win for college football. Everybody wins. And then not only that, you're investing in proven commodities in your program that you know a lot about already, right? And part of this recruiting thing is getting a 5-star really valuable? Yes. But also eliminating mistakes and bringing the wrong guy into your program is also really valuable. And guys that have been in our programs 3, 4, 5 years that you're able to keep for another year, and everybody benefits from it, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, and that's been a big part of our model. And I think what happens is we got one of them to come back, and then 2 come back, and then 3, and then start kind of get some momentum. And guys said, look, we got an opportunity here to do something special as a team, but also to be able to achieve some things as individuals as well. So pretty cool. With team success comes individual recognition.
Well, that'll do it. I always find James Franklin so interesting here. And honestly, I would recommend go to our channel Saturday Glory and watch the whole press conference. He had really interesting stuff to say about a bunch of other topics, including non-conference scheduling, having coached in the SEC and the Big Ten, and some of the differences between those two leagues and some of the similarities in terms of mentality. Really interesting stuff. So I think you'll enjoy that. Go ahead and subscribe to Saturday Glory as well, and make sure you're subscribed as well to Buckeye Huddle. We've got all sorts of coverage coming. We'll have even more from Big Ten Media Days in the coming days as we sort of go through everything we got. There is a ton of content coming for you. And then, of course, the season coming very soon. Hope to see you here and see you as well at BuckeyeHuddle.com.